In this live self-defense training video at home, you're going to discover age is just a number. And the reason that I'm bringing this up today is I've been talking to a lot of you, and you keep telling me that age is one of your biggest concerns, that you're getting older, you're not as strong as you used to be, we're not as flexible. And it's not just you, it's me. I get it. I understand. I feel the same way. Your body aches a little bit more. You have real physical limitations that you didn't have for most of your life, and you're concerned about defending yourself. And I want to tell you that age is just a number, especially when it comes to self-defense, and it's a number that falls in your favor. Age is one of the best things that you're going to have in self-defense. And I've been teaching self-defense for so many years, and I've come to believe to the core of my being and experience and realize through training with others, through talking to others, through getting feedback and reviewing what other people are doing, that as you get older, you become wiser, you become stronger. And so age really is just a number, but I want to talk to you about 3 specific ways that age is in your advantage. As you get older, age becomes a benefit, not a detriment when it comes to self-defense. And you can effectively defend yourself at every single age. Hello, Doug. We're talking about age is just a number, self-defense training at home. Now, stay tuned to the end, because at the very end, I'm going to give you some techniques, some exercises, some things that I want you to practice that are going to improve your self-defense ability when you do self-defense training at home, and is going to tie into this idea that age is just a number, and the older you are, the better it's going to be for you. Now, the first principle, or the first idea about age being just a number in self-defense training at home are principles are more important than techniques. Now, techniques are like throwing punches. Techniques are grappling. Techniques are using self-defense tools or self-defense weapons. Techniques like punching, elbows, knees, all techniques are about the same, and none of them are as important as the principles that go behind the techniques. And this is where age comes in. When I was a young person, it's very easy to fall into this trap. You get into a sport, or you get into a style of martial arts or boxing or jiu-jitsu. I started in judo, did a lot of time in taekwondo, did some time in traditional karate, did a lot of time in boxing, but you fall in love with the techniques and you get stuck there. And as you get older, if you allow your mind to broaden and you start to become more tolerant, you start to become more accepting, you start to realize that the world is full of so many different flavors of everything, that the principles behind self-defense become way more important than the actual techniques. That means, are you supposed to punch them? Are you supposed to grapple with them or wrestle them to the ground? Is jiu-jitsu better than taekwondo? Can Wing Chun beat the boxer, the street fighter? And none of that matters. What really matters is the person. And you know that instinctively, but the reason why has to do with the principles. Now, the first principle of self-defense is situational awareness. And as you get older, you become much, much better at paying attention to what's happening around you. And you see a lot of younger people stuck in their phone. And we do it too. We do it a little bit too much. So if you pay attention to what's happening before it becomes a problem, you can leave, you can go somewhere else, you can physically prepare yourself, mentally prepare yourself to get in a self-defense posture. So situational awareness is number 1, and you learn that as you get older. And you don't always know that when you're a kid. When I was a young person, I would often walk into situations and get my big mouth would get me into trouble that I shouldn't be in, that I could avoid altogether, and I wouldn't have to use physical self-defense and get in a fight and all the other things. Today, as things get scary, things get riskier, things get more dangerous, it becomes more and more important. Who knows what's coming next? But if you pay attention, you can see it before it happens, and you can avoid it most of the time. Situational awareness is number 1. Number 2 is getting into a better position. When you're young and you're full of energy and testosterone and stupidity, we'll just call it what it is, you go up puffing up to everybody and you stand there like you're the strongest, most important person there is, and that your anger means that you can fight. And we all know that that's not true. How mad you can get has nothing to do with how well you can defend yourself. But as you get older, you start to learn how to calm down. You start to learn how to take things in around you and put things in perspective and see the bigger picture and take a deep breath and realize you don't have to physically fight every single fight, but you can get into a better position. You can put your hands up, put them between you and the threat. You can be in this position. You can talk your way out of so many things. And so getting into a better position, situational awareness, these principles of self-defense far outweigh the techniques. If you learn how to be a fighter, you want to go to the school, learn how to box, and then you go out looking for fights all the time. And you get into a bunch of fights and you lose and you get hurt and then you hurt somebody else. That's what happens when we're young and we're stupid. As you get older, age becomes the most important thing, the thing that we have that gives us the greatest value. Our age, our wisdom allows us to see the bigger picture, allows us to pay attention to what's happening, allows us to get into a better position. Put the hands between you and them, talk yourself out of it. They throw the punch, you sidestep, or you go into the flinch block, and you can do so many things because you have traded these techniques, this love of boxing or love of jiu-jitsu for the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? Self-defense is more than techniques. Techniques get you killed. Principles will save your life. Principle number 1, situation awareness. Number 2, get into a better position. Number 3, you ask yourself the question, what can you remove or destroy? His ability to see, his ability to breathe temporarily or permanently, his ability to stand upright by striking here, his ability to breathe in that situation too, or take out a knee, stomp on the foot, go for the groin. You start to think in those terms as you get older, and you don't want to spend 22 minutes in a hand-to-hand combat. That's just such an asinine idea that we fantasize about when we're 17, 18, 19 years old, a little bit younger, a little bit older, and we get into this mindset of we need to take on the world and fight everybody and beat everybody. But when you get older, you start to realize fights hurt, right? You get hurt and the other person gets hurt, and then there's liabilities, and then somebody's going to jail. Both people are going to jail. Somebody might be going to the hospital or worse, and you realize it's simply not worth it. However, you have to be prepared to defend yourself. Either prepare or perish. And so you pay attention to what's happening around you, situation awareness, get to a better position, put your hands up between you and the threat, and then you ask yourself that question, what can you remove or destroy? And then the 4th principle is one of my favorites, is close with and destroy. Violence of action, going all in, not holding back. When you have to act, you have to act. And so there's a few other principles of self-defense that are important that we'll talk about on this channel, but those are the most important ones, the first 4. Now, the second thing that you have in your favor as you get older is that you understand the difference between pure speed. You have speed, all the speed in the world when you're a young person. You can move fast, you can jump fast, you can go to the right, go to the left, get out of the way, you're very agile. But as you get older, you understand timing and distance beats speed every single time. Think about the bullfighter with the little red cape. And he's got the little knife, right? He's got the daggers. And he stands in front of the 500-600-pound bull, raging, snort, the smoke coming out of his nose, so to speak. And then he charges after the bullfighter, who just simply steps to the side and lets him go rushing by. And you've seen that. You maybe probably have done that yourself. I know I've done that, where the person who's young and full of anger and full of confidence, false confidence, right? Liquid confidence, and then they can't see straight. They're just so mad. They're throwing punches, and you're just kind of stepping out of the way. You can push them to the ground sometimes because timing and distance beats pure speed. And when you understand that, it usually took me forever to figure that out, right? It took me forever sparring in competitions, fighting in the gym, doing all the things that you have to do outside. Thank you, Studer, for that generous donation, for that super chat. But you don't learn that when you're young. And not everybody. Some people, maybe they do. They've got a good coach. Their head's not as thick as mine was. But my head was so thick. I remember so clearly, my instructor said to me one time, he said, the problem with you is that your head is like a rock. And he says, you know what you do to break a rock to get something into it? And he smashed it. And he said, you have to hit it really hard. It's like I have to tell you again and again and again. And he was right. I had that thick head, that hard head. I didn't learn it the easy way. I had to learn it the hard way. But that's the folly of youth. That's what happens when we're young. And that's okay. But don't sit feeling sorry for yourself because as we get older, we lose speed. That's okay. Let it go. Because as speed goes away, understanding of timing and distance can fill its place. And when you practice timing and distance and you learn how to calm down, not slow down, but calm down, calm the mind with the breath, and that guy's coming in so fast, you need to defend yourself, you're able to simply move out of the way or turn to the side and let them go by, and your timing and distance will beat their speed every single time. So yes, Age is just a number. When we talk about self-defense training at home, I want you to understand that the things that sometimes we think are limitations, our age, our inflexibility, are difficult. Thank you, James, so much for that generous donation. Those are not real, right? Those things that feel like they're limiting us, the arthritic hands, the arthritic hip, the arthritic knee, yes, they're real. I'm not saying have a Pollyanna idea and say it doesn't exist. I'm saying understand that forces us, right? It's like when you lose one sense, you lose your sight, all the other senses become stronger. When you lose the ability to move with speed and power or strength, because you're so young and full of all that testosterone and all that energy, you have to replace it with calming down and knowledge and wisdom and experience, and use that to your advantage. Know that it's your strength. Know it's one of your superpowers. I call it old man strength, old woman strength. It's what you have. It's the trade-off. Yes, you lose those things from youth, but what you get is so much better. Now, the third thing, and remember, stay to the end because I want to show you a couple exercises I want you to practice. But the third thing is that you have to understand that as you get older, you know how to generate power in ways that young people simply can't. Young people are still stuck in the gym on the bench doing the barbell bench press, thinking that that's pure strength, right? Their muscles get bigger and bigger and they get slower, but their muscles are getting bigger and they can move so much speed or so much strength. And you understand, if you've been around for a long time, that that's not the person you need to worry about, the big muscle-bound youth jock. It's the one who's quiet and kind of scrawny and has that strong, maybe works on the farm, works roofing houses, works out in the field, baling hay, whatever it is that they do, where they have the real power, the power that you have as you get older, because you learn that you no longer have the size of the muscle. But you've seen it many times. I've seen it too. You see that older gentleman, that older man working in the same job as all the young guys, and he can lift 10 times as much. And he's 10 times smaller than those big young guys full of all of that youthful energy and youthful strength. And it's because force is generated by power. Think of power as energy, right? When you put something in motion, you become stronger. And I want to talk about knockout power. And knockout power is something that you see when you run into an older fighter. And you see him, he's 70, he's 80 years old. I see this a lot because I follow all these old great boxing coaches. And these guys are still in their 70s and 80s, and they're hitting the bags, and they're generating so much boom, boom, power with the punch. They're not as fast as they used to be, but they're using their body in a way with knowledge and with experience that the young guys just don't get. Because when you're young, you're blinded by that strength. How many more pounds can I put on this bar? How many more pounds can I lift? And all that strength means that I'm stronger, that I can beat somebody up. No, that's not true. That just means you're probably a little bit slower. You might be a little bit heavier. And just because you can lift something heavy does not mean you can defend yourself. Not at all. So when you do self-defense training at home, and you understand that age is a number, you want to generate power using three things. And I always think of this, I used to work with this older gentleman, and we would lift and carry these 50-pound or 5-gallon buckets of paint, right? And my father would get this big truck trailer that would show up, and it would be loaded with paint to do these big apartment complexes that we had to paint. And it would be me unloading it, the young guy with one in each hand, and then the old guy. And he would just, he unloaded 10 for every one that I touched. And I feel, I'm strong. I'm in the gym all the time because I was young. And this guy, he's half my size, and he's 4 times my age. And this guy just, he was like 68, 69, just flying up and down, up the ladder into the truck and then back down the ramp. And he's got, one under each hand, and it's effortless. But he understood how to use the body. And when you understand how to use the body, how to leverage what you have naturally, and you understand that strength doesn't come from the muscle, it comes from the spine, it comes from the tendons, it comes from the breathing, and it comes from here and in the heart, right? And that's where strength, real power, is generated. So strength is not as important as power is. Strength, it reminds me of youth. It's about being, how many push-ups can you do? And even in that case, I think that last year, a man locally, 68 years old, set the world record for push-ups. How's that for age is just a number, right? And this guy wasn't physically massive. He was just mentally strong, and you're mentally strong. That's what age gives us. And the understanding that you can generate power when you put all that in its speed and force, speed and strength, when you put them together, you get so much more power. And I see these videos with these older guys who are defending themselves, because there are videos now everywhere, all these self-defense situations, and every once in a while you'll see one and it'll be a story, 74-year-old man knocks out 19-year-old punk. Something like that. I don't know if those are the exact words, but those are the kinds of videos I love to find. And it's almost always the same. He's generating knockout power with three things. And I want you to practice this. The first one is extension. An extension on a punch means going all the way out, and you can make sure that you're getting that extension by turning the hand over just a little bit so that the little part of the hand is higher. That'll extend all the way. The second part is coming through the shoulders and hips, rotation of the shoulders and hips. So number one, extension. Number two, rotation of the shoulders and hips. Number three, acceleration. You've got to accelerate that punch. If I just extend, I've got a hard punch. If I turn the shoulders and hips, I rotate with the extension, I've got a really hard punch. But when I move my body forward, either with a little step or a bit of a lean, then I accelerate that. You're going to accelerate everything with those three things. So remember, extension, rotation, acceleration. You get extension by full reach, get rotation, shoulders and hips, write this down, and then you get that acceleration when you move your body into it. Stepping into that punch, throwing, don't lead in with your chin, lead in with that fist, right? So here are the exercises. I want you to do two things to finish this workout, or finish this talk for your self-defense training at home. The first one is throwing 2 punches and taking a lateral step. 2 punches and taking a lateral step. You can do this at any age. This will prove to you that age is just a number. You're gonna learn how to hit them and then get out of the way. I want you to be hard to hit. That's a principle of self-defense that's way more important than any technique. So the technique, 2 punches, but then the principle is get out of the way. So you're gonna step. And anytime, you can see in the mirror behind me, anytime you go to your left, step left first. When you go to your right, step right. That's if your left foot's in the lead. Doesn't matter which foot's in the lead. Whenever you're in a fighting position, put one foot in front of the other, make yourself a smaller target, throw 2 punches and move, 2 punches and move. Just side to side, side to side. Just turning. And the second thing I want you to do is step on a jab. I just want you to practice a 1-punch combination. Just this left hand punch. So the first one, 2 punches with a lateral move. The second exercise I want you to practice when you do self-defense training at home is just throw the jab. Make sure you're extending all the way and turn your shoulders. By the way, any straight punch is a jab. So you extend all the way, turn your shoulders and hips, and then take a step with that front foot. If you're left or right-handed, put your left foot forward. If you're right-handed, put your left-handed, put your right foot forward. Just the opposite, right? So whichever foot's forward, that hand's punching. So this is my left hand. You're gonna extend, rotate, but then step in with the foot. I'll show you from the mirror here. It's as simple as that. I'm just taking a little step. So I'm stepping on that jab. And just practice this. Think about a fencer, right? You're fencing with a foil. Fencing with that foil coming right in and hitting him. You want knockout power. I want stopping power. Every time you hit somebody, age is just a number. Self-defense training at home. I want you to understand your power is going to beat their youthful strength. I don't care how big they are. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And that's a fact. You're going to throw that punch with a step. Stepping in, and you don't have to hit the bag. If you don't have a bag to hit, just punch in the air. But make sure you have extension, rotate through your shoulders and hips, and accelerate with that front foot step. That's what I want you to practice. You guys have been awesome. Thanks again for those donations. I'll see you guys in a little